Every living organism is the product of faithfully transmitted genetic heritage, but when this process deviates, mutations result. These extreme cases, ranging from organ duplication to facial disjunction, present unique survival challenges and compel scientists to deepen their understanding of developmental anomalies. Number 10. The one-eyed cat, cyclopia. Cyclopia is an extremely severe congenital malformation that falls within the spectrum of holoprosencephaly, HPE, characterized by the failure of the prosencephalon, anterior brain, and median facial structures to divide. The main etiology of cyclopia often involves the disruption of the hedgehog, SHH, signaling pathway, which is essential for determining the midline axis and separating the eye fields early in embryogenesis. In the case of this kitten, the simultaneous presence of a single functional eye and complete arrhynia, absence of nasal structures, demonstrates critical damage to the precaudal regions. This absence of nasal structures and consequently of adequate respiratory pathways is the immediate cause of neonatal death, occurring within minutes as the animal is incapable of establishing efficient pulmonary respiration. This phenomenon not only illustrates the severity of HPE in mammals, but also emphasizes the vital dependence of respiratory functions on correctly developed facial structures, confirming the lethal impact of early craniofacial development perturbations. Monitoring exposure to teratogenic agents known to interfere with the SHH pathway is crucial in the prevention of such anomalies. Number 9. The eight-legged hermaphrodite goat. This caprine specimen is a complex case combining polymelia, multiplication of limbs, here 4 extra limbs, and true hermaphroditism, distinguished by the presence of ovotestis tissue, both ovarian and testicular, or reproductive structures of both sexes. The most likely explanation for this constellation of anomalies lies in the fusion or incomplete incorporation of non-separated twins, a phenomenon known as polysomy, often classified as a parasitic twin. The extra limbs originate from the limb buds of the incorporated twin, which failed to develop autonomously, but whose somatic structures fused with the host. Hermaphroditism can either be a direct consequence of the incorporation of tissues from an opposite-sex twin, or, in the case of goats, a genetic intersex condition due to hormonal factors or chromosomal translocations. The survival of such animals is precarious due to the metabolic burden imposed by the extra body mass and locomotion difficulties, although the study of these unique cases provides crucial embryological data on the mechanisms regulating axial development and limb duplication patterns. Number 8. The monkey piglet. The case of this piglet, presenting with a facial dysmorphia so pronounced it evokes the appearance of a primate, is an example of severe craniofacial malformation, or dysgenesis. This condition is generally attributed to a failure of migration and fusion of the embryonic facial processes, which may result from environmental teratogenesis. Developmental disturbances in pigs and other livestock species are closely linked to the exposure of the pregnant sow to mycotoxins, heavy metals, or chemical contaminants present in the environment, often exacerbated by uncontrolled industrial or agricultural pollution. The simian appearance results from extreme brachycephaly and a deformation of the maxillary and nasal region, leading to marked prognathism and upper lip defects. The public reaction and petitions that followed the media coverage of this case rightfully highlighted the role of domestic animals as bioindicators of environmental quality. However, such complex deformations severely compromise feeding and respiration, explaining the piglet's rapid death 4 days after birth, a frequent outcome for animals afflicted with such structural anomalies. Number 7. The winged cat. The appearance of cutaneous excrescences and fibrous masses superficially resembling wings in felines is not a skeletal transformation, but is most often a manifestation of dermatological and connective tissue disorders. The most recognized etiology for these formations is feline cutaneous asthenia, FCA, a form of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome characterized by a genetic defect in collagen production. This defect makes the skin abnormally elastic, fragile, and prone to tearing and the formation of excessive loose folds. In other less frequent cases, the wings can be sebaceous cysts, benign tumors, or large accumulations of adipose tissue, lipomas. Although these structures can move slightly due to underlying muscle activity or skin elasticity, they lack the osseous, muscular, and neuronal architecture necessary for functional flight. Experts monitor these cases to evaluate the degree of suffering and impact on quality of life, as the skin fragility due to FCA exposes the animal to increased risks of wounds and cutaneous infections. Number 6. The two-headed, six-legged frog. Polycephaly, 2 heads, and polymelia, 6 legs, observed in amphibians, such as this frog specimen, are sensitive biological indicators of environmental conditions. The increased incidence of malformations in amphibian populations is a major subject in ecotoxicology. The etiology of these complex anomalies is twofold. On one hand, exposure to chemical teratogenic agents, such as organophosphate pesticides or vitamin A, metabolites, retinoids, which disrupt the signaling pathways involved in limb bud formation and axial regionalization during metamorphosis. On the other hand, the presence of parasites like the trematode Riberoia ondatrae, whose cysts specifically encyst in the limb buds, causing their duplication or malformation. This frog's ability to escape, despite its locomotor handicap, demonstrates residual motor survival, but these malformations drastically reduce its chances of predation, camouflage, and reproduction. These cases continue to serve as warning signals regarding the deterioration of the quality of aquatic habitats. Number 5. Frankenlouis, the two-faced cat, Diprosopus. Frankenlouis held the world record for longevity for a cat with Diprosopus, or Janus syndrome, having survived for 15 years, a remarkable feat given the high neonatal mortality associated with this condition. Diprosopus is the result of lateral craniofacial duplication that occurs without complete duplication of the head, in contrast to polycephaly. Neurologically, the animal possessed only a single brainstem and a single cortex, which allowed essential motor coordination, but presented a complex management of sensory functions: 3 eyes, 2 noses, 2 mouths. The major challenge in raising the animal was feeding. The animal had to learn to use a single functional mouth to ingest nutrients. The success of its long-term survival is attributed to the absence of lethal cardiac or pulmonary malformations, which frequently accompany this mutation, as well as the constant specialized care from its owner, allowing them to overcome the difficulties related to the duplication of sensory organs and facial motor coordination. Number 4. Faith, the two-legged dog. The case of Faith is a poignant illustration of amelia or severe micromelia of the forelimbs, a congenital anomaly where the limbs are either absent or severely underdeveloped and non-functional. After being abandoned due to a handicap, the dog was rescued and rehabilitated to develop complete bipedal locomotion. Biomechanically, this adaptation required a complete redistribution of the center of gravity, extremely developed hindquarters musculature, and constant postural adjustment, often accompanied by lumbar hyperlordosis. The decision to amputate the rudimentary forelimbs was an essential intervention to prevent chronic pain and atrophy. Faith's ability to move unsupported highlights the extraordinary plasticity and adaptive capacity of the mammalian musculoskeletal system. This case had a major impact in promoting prosthetics and rehabilitation for disabled animals, serving as a model to demonstrate that major limb deficits do not necessarily condemn an animal to a poor quality of life with proactive support and targeted physical therapy. Number 3, the transparent fish. In contrast to a spontaneous mutation, the transparent fish is often the result of deliberate genetic engineering. primarily in the zebrafish, Danio or Medica, two fundamental model organisms in biology. This phenotype is achieved either through mutation of genes regulating melanophore pigmentation or by using transgenesis to specifically inhibit the development of pigment cells. The scientific utility of this organism is immense, as it allows for direct and non-invasive in situ observation of internal organs and physiological processes. Researchers can study angiogenesis, blood vessel formation, tumor progression, tissue regeneration, and the impact of drugs in real time without the need for dissection or complex imaging techniques. This transparency provides an unprecedented optical window into vertebrate biology, making the genetically modified fish a valuable tool for advances in toxicology, embryology, and oncology research. Number 2, the ocean blue lobster. The blue lobster, with an estimated incidence of only 1 case per 5 million, represents an extremely rare recessive genetic anomaly affecting pigmentation. The lobster's normal brownish-red color is due to the binding of the carotenoid pigment astaxanthin to a protein, crustacyanin, forming a stable complex. In the blue lobster, a specific mutation leads to the overproduction of a particular form of crustacyanin or a defect in the way the pigment is stored, causing astaxanthin to appear in its free blue form. This spectacular coloration has no direct impact on the lobster's health or taste, but it can affect its survival rate in the natural environment. The vivid blue constitutes a selective disadvantage in terms of camouflage against predators on the seabed. The rarity of this mutation makes it a subject of interest for crustacean biologists studying pigment genetics and polymorphism in marine populations. Number 1, Kenny, the white tiger, and strabismus. Kenny is the most publicized example of the harmful consequences of extreme inbreeding depression, practiced to maintain the recessive trait of the white coat in tigers. The mutation responsible for the white color is often linked by pleiotropy to other genetic and structural deficiencies. In Kenny's case, these defects included marked facial dysmorphia, flat, broad face, macrocephaly, and convergent strabismus, crossed eyes, due to a poor decussation of optic nerve fibers. Inbred white tigers also exhibit high rates of cleft palates, immune deficiencies, and kidney problems. Although Kenny was able to develop a pleasant personality, his strabismus limited his vision and required specialized care to prevent injuries and protect him from more aggressive tigers. His premature death from cancer highlighted the increased health vulnerability of animals resulting from a severe genetic bottleneck, strengthening the ethical argument against deliberate breeding for aesthetic traits at the expense of the species' health and genetic viability. Number 11, unexpected moment. In Texas, in a town crushed by heat and dust, a dog was born that unsettled everyone who saw him. His body was that of an ordinary canine, but his face strangely resembled that of a man weary of life. The rumor spread quickly. A miracle, a curse, or a simple anomaly of nature. Scientists came and left without an answer. Yet, the dog seemed neither cursed nor aware of his difference. He chased butterflies, slept in the shade of porches, and sought only affection. In his human gaze, some claimed to see a silent wisdom, like a secret that nature refuses to explain. These 10 examples demonstrate the wide range of mutations that can manifest in the animal kingdom, offering crucial lessons in genetics, ecology, and veterinary ethics. Whether they are the result of internal genetic factors or environmental pressures, these anomalies underscore the inherent fragility and complexity of biological developmental processes.